Back. Imagine loving someone so deeply that you start to disappear, piece by piece, until you can't tell where they end and you begin. That's not love. That's losing yourself in the name of it. Back. Real love doesn't dim your light just to make someone else shine. It makes both of you brighter. So before you call it love, ask yourself this: am I being loved or am I being erased? Real love is not about losing yourself in the idea of someone else. It's about finding more of who you are through the connection you share. It's not about disappearing into another person's story, but about allowing two stories to grow alongside each other, intertwined but still distinct. When you truly love someone, you don't sacrifice your identity to make the relationship work. Back. You expand your capacity to love without abandoning your essence. Too many people mistake love for surrender, believing that to prove loyalty, they must silence their voice, abandon their dreams, back, and mold themselves into what their partner needs. But that's not love. That's fear wearing love's disguise. The fear of rejection, the fear of being alone, the fear that without someone, you are not enough. Back. Real love doesn't feed on fear. It feeds on respect, authenticity, and the courage to remain whole even while deeply connected. Love, when it's real, back, doesn't ask you to give up your fire to keep the other person warm. It doesn't punish your independence or make you feel guilty for being ambitious, curious, or bold. Back. The right person will never make you apologize for having your own path. They'll walk beside you, not ahead of you, not behind you. They will see your growth as an invitation to grow too. Back. Because real love thrives when both people evolve, when both people continue building their own worlds, not when one person becomes the other's world entirely. You were not born to orbit someone else's gravity. Back. You were born to create your own universe and meet someone whose universe complements yours. That is the kind of love that builds legacies, not cages. Back. There's a quiet tragedy in how many people lose themselves in relationships thinking that's what devotion looks like. They stop doing the things that made them alive before they met that person. Back. They stop seeing friends chasing goals, nurturing passions, all in the name of love. But when love becomes a reason to forget yourself, it becomes a prison built from your own hands. Back. The most painful part is that you don't even notice the walls until it's too late. You start living through someone else's emotions, their approval becomes your mirror, and your worth becomes conditional. Back. And one day, you wake up realizing you no longer recognize the person in the reflection. Love should never cost you your reflection. When you fall in love, it should feel like expansion, not contraction. I trust myself to take it back. It should feel like there's more color, more light, more possibility. You should be inspired to become better, not because you're afraid to lose someone. Back. But because being around them makes you believe in your own potential again. They remind you of what's already within you, not what you lack. Real love doesn't complete you. It reveals you. Back. It strips away the versions of yourself that were built on insecurity and fear, and it invites your authentic self to step forward. When love is healthy, you don't shrink to be understood. You rise and still feel seen. Back. Too many people chase the fantasy of love instead of the truth of it. The fantasy says love is constant validation, perfect alignment, and endless sacrifice. The truth says love is balance, honesty, back, and growth. Sometimes messy, sometimes uncomfortable, but always rooted in respect. It's not about losing yourself to prove your devotion. It's about staying yourself to preserve the connection. Back. The more you betray your own boundaries in the name of love, the more the relationship erodes. Because no love can thrive on the decay of self-respect. You can't sustain something real if it's built on your own disappearance. Love that lasts only exists between two people who are brave enough to stay themselves fully. Back. There's this idea that if you truly love someone, you should be willing to give them everything. But the truth is, the most powerful thing you can give in love is your wholeness. Back. You don't give pieces of yourself hoping they'll fill the missing parts. You show up complete knowing that you are already enough. Back. Love becomes toxic when it demands that you fragment yourself to fit someone else's comfort. It's not your job to make yourself smaller so someone can feel bigger. Back. The right person will never ask you to choose between them and your purpose. They'll stand beside your purpose, protect it, and remind you of it when you forget. If someone truly loves you, take it back. They will never see your strength as a threat. They will see it as beauty. Real love doesn't need you to dim your fire. It dances with it. Back. The love that is meant for you will never make you question your worth or your power. It will make you more grounded in them. You'll start to notice that you no longer seek approval. Back. Because their presence doesn't demand performance. It encourages authenticity. Real love feels like breathing deeply after holding your breath for too long. It feels like coming home to yourself. Back. Not leaving home to be with someone else. You don't lose yourself in real love. You find your edges. You learn where you begin and where the other person begins. You discover that boundaries are not barriers. Back. They are bridges of respect. And when both people honor those boundaries, the connection deepens. You learn that love is not meant to consume. It's meant to coexist. You realize that you can be devoted without dissolving. You can be vulnerable without being voiceless. You can care deeply and still choose yourself. Back. Love doesn't demand the death of identity. It demands its celebration. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to refuse to lose yourself for them. Because losing yourself breeds resentment. Back. not intimacy. It creates imbalance where one gives endlessly and the other takes without knowing the cost. But when both people stand firm in who they are, love becomes a partnership, not a possession. Back. It becomes something sacred, built on truth rather than illusion. You stop loving out of need and start loving out of choice. That's when love becomes powerful, because it's no longer survival. It's connection between two souls who are already whole. When you understand that real love strengthens you, you stop chasing relationships that weaken you. You stop mistaking chaos for passion and control for care. You stop settling for anything that requires you to betray your own truth. Back. You start seeing love not as something that takes you away from yourself, but as something that brings you back home. And that's when you realize real love is never about losing yourself. Back. It's about remembering who you are and being brave enough to love without erasing your own name from the story. When love becomes an excuse to forget who you are, it stops being love and starts becoming dependency. Back. There's a difference between connection and control, between devotion and disappearance. Too many people believe that love means giving everything until there's nothing left. Back, as if self-respect is a price you pay for companionship. But the truth is, love without self-respect isn't love at all. It's desperation dressed as devotion. It back. You cannot truly give love if you've abandoned the part of you that knows you deserve it. Real love begins with how deeply you honor yourself, because when you neglect your own worth, you invite others to do the same. It back. The relationship you have with yourself sets the standard for every relationship you'll ever have. If you tolerate disrespect from within, you'll attract it from without. Back. Love doesn't demand you to forget your value. It demands you to remember it. When you lose yourself for the sake of keeping someone else, you don't just lose your identity, you lose your inner peace. It back. You start walking on eggshells, filtering your words, dimming your light so someone else feels more comfortable standing beside you. You start mistaking approval for affection, thinking that the quieter you become, back, the safer the relationship will be. But safety built on silence is an illusion. The moment you suppress your needs to maintain connection, you are teaching yourself that love and pain coexist. Get back. You begin confusing stillness with peace, but they are not the same. Real peace comes from authenticity, not avoidance. When you have to constantly edit yourself to be loved, it back. What you're experiencing isn't love, it's performance. Love should free you, not require you to audition for acceptance. It takes strength to love someone and still choose yourself. Back. That's not selfishness, it's self-preservation. The narrative that real love means sacrifice is only true when the sacrifice doesn't cost you your self-worth. Back, there's a difference between compromise and self-erasure. Compromise says, I care enough to meet you halfway. Self-erasure says, back, I'll disappear if it means you'll stay. Real love never asks you to give up your essence. It asks you to share it. When you have self-respect, you know that giving love shouldn't mean abandoning yourself. Back. You stop romanticizing pain. You stop thinking that endurance equals loyalty. You stop believing that suffering is proof of depth. Love doesn't require your suffering. It requires your presence, your truth, back, your boundaries. Self-respect is the foundation that makes love sustainable. Without it, you build connection on sand and every emotional wave becomes a threat. Back. You can't expect someone to value you if you don't first show them how. When you treat your boundaries as negotiable, people will test them until they disappear. But when you stand firm in your standards, back, the wrong ones fall away and the right one knows exactly where to stand. Real love honors boundaries because it understands that respect and closeness are not opposites, they're partners. When someone truly loves you, take it back. They don't want to own your freedom, they want to protect it. They don't see your independence as distance, they see it as strength. That kind of love can only exist when both people are grounded in self-worth. Back, loving yourself teaches you how to love others without losing balance. It keeps you from expecting someone else to fix what you've neglected within. Too often, we expect love to heal the ones we haven't faced. Take it back, to fill the voids we've avoided. But what happens is dependency, not connection. The moment you rely on someone else to define your happiness, you hand them control over your peace. Back, real love doesn't complete you, it complements you. It enhances what already exists. When you love yourself, you no longer approach relationships from a place of need, but from abundance. You stop chasing validation because you already feel valuable. You stop begging for time because you already know your worth. Self-respect transforms love from survival into choice. It back. The hardest truth to accept is that some relationships fail not because of lack of love, but because of lack of self-love. When you don't respect yourself, you tolerate what should have been temporary. You accept apologies instead of change, attention instead of effort, and presence instead of partnership. You convince yourself that fragments are enough because you fear being without the whole. Back. But love built on fear will always crumble. The moment you believe you need someone to be complete, you lose your power to walk away. Real love allows you to stay because you want to, not because you need to. Back. There's a difference between loving freely and loving fearfully, and the line between them is self-respect. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. When you speak kindly to yourself, others notice. It back. When you enforce your boundaries, they learn that your time and energy are not to be taken lightly. When you chase your goals, they understand that your world doesn't revolve around them. Back. That's how respect is earned. It's modeled, not demanded. Self-respect is magnetic. It attracts people who value the same energy you give. It filters out those who only seek control. It back. Love without self-respect feels like walking in circles, always chasing approval, always shrinking to fit. But love with self-respect feels like standing tall, secure, seen, and safe. When you start honoring yourself, back, your definition of love evolves. You stop being impressed by grand gestures and start valuing consistency. You stop falling for words and start watching actions. It back. You stop settling for potential and start recognizing patterns. Self-respect clears your vision. It helps you see who's truly loving you and who's just feeding on your willingness to give. Back. It's no longer about who makes your heart race, but about who brings you peace. And peace isn't found in chaos, it's found in clarity. Real love feels steady, not suffocating. It doesn't drain your energy, it refuels it. It doesn't confuse you, it grounds you. When you understand your worth, you stop equating love with sacrifice. You stop needing to prove your loyalty by staying in situations that drain your soul. Back. You stop believing that being needed is the same as being loved. There's power in walking away from what doesn't honor you. That decision doesn't make you heartless, it makes you healed. Back. Because self-respect isn't about pride, it's about peace. It's the quiet knowing that you deserve a love that reflects your growth, not your wounds. Back. You can love someone deeply and still choose to protect your spirit. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. That's what real love looks like when it begins with you. Back. Love without self-respect is dependency. It demands your validation instead of your truth. But love built on self-respect is freedom. It allows you to give fully without losing yourself. Hit back. It's not about choosing between love and self because real love never asks you to make that choice. The two are one and the same. When you respect yourself, every act of love you give becomes an extension of strength, not sacrifice. You become someone who loves fiercely, but wisely, generously, but consciously. Back. You start to realize that the most beautiful form of love isn't the one that consumes you. It's the one that lets you stay whole even as you hold someone else close. Back. Every relationship you have in life is a reflection of how you treat yourself. The way you talk to yourself becomes the way others learn to talk to you. If you constantly criticize yourself, back, you'll tolerate criticism from others. If you neglect your needs, you'll attract people who do the same. Love doesn't just show up in your life randomly, it mirrors your inner world. When you honor your emotions, back, people learn that your feelings matter. When you abandon your boundaries, they learn that your limits can be crossed. You are always teaching others how to love you by the way you love yourself. Take it back. The relationship you build within determines the relationships you build without. So before you ask for respect, give it to yourself first, because no one will ever treat you better than you believe you deserve. Back. When you stop respecting yourself, you unconsciously grant permission for others to do the same. You start accepting half efforts and calling them love, mistaking convenience for care and attention for affection. The truth is, people will rise or fall to the level of your self-worth. If you see yourself as small, you'll attract those who benefit from your shrinking. If you see yourself as worthy, it back. You'll draw people who value your light. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You can't pour confidence into someone who's forgotten their own, it back. And you can't receive love that you don't believe you deserve. The energy you hold toward yourself becomes the language others use to engage with you. So if you want better love, start by loving yourself better. That real love doesn't require you to lose your individuality. It thrives because of it. The healthiest relationships are built on two people who know who they are and choose to meet in honesty, not dependency. When you abandon yourself to please someone else, the love becomes unbalanced and resentment starts to grow. You begin to feel unseen, unheard, unvalued, but the truth is, you stopped showing up as yourself long before they stopped noticing. You taught them that your comfort was optional, that your silence was safer than your truth. Real love invites your authenticity back. It doesn't punish it. You don't have to earn a place in someone's heart by sacrificing who you are. You belong in love by being exactly who you were meant to be. Every time you silence your needs to keep the peace back, you're teaching others that your voice is negotiable. And over time, that becomes the rhythm of your relationships. You overextend, they under-deliver, and you both call it balance back. But love isn't sustainable when it's built on self-betrayal. The moment you start editing yourself to stay loved, you're no longer in a partnership, you're in performance. The difference between real love and dependency is choice. Real love is a decision made from freedom, while dependency is a decision made from fear. Back. You can't love freely if you're terrified of losing yourself in the process. True intimacy comes from two people who are brave enough to be honest, not perfect. It back. The relationships that thrive are the ones where both people take responsibility for their own happiness. It's not your partner's job to fill your emptiness, and it's not your job to fix theirs. It back. Love becomes heavy when it's used as a substitute for self-work. You can't outsource healing, validation, or purpose their internal responsibilities. When you come to love already whole, back. You give from abundance instead of scarcity. You don't seek to be completed. You seek to be understood. You don't chase love out of fear of being alone. You share it out of joy for being yourself. Get back. That kind of love doesn't drain. It amplifies. It's not two halves trying to make a whole. It's two wholes building something greater together. Back, boundaries are the purest form of love because they define how you can love and be loved without resentment. Without boundaries, connection becomes chaos. You can't feel safe in love if you're constantly afraid of losing yourself. Boundaries are not walls, they are respect in practice. They protect your energy so your love can stay generous, not resentful. Back. When you have boundaries, you teach others that your needs are not optional extras, they are part of what makes you you. People who truly love you won't be threatened by your limits. They'll be grateful for them. Back. Because boundaries are not about pushing people away, they're about showing them how to stay close to you in a healthy way. Honesty with yourself is the foundation of every healthy connection. Back. You can't demand truth from someone else if you're living in denial within yourself. Too often, people cling to relationships that feel familiar, even when they're unhealthy, because chaos feels safer than solitude. Back. But loving yourself means being willing to face the truth, even when it hurts. It's realizing that love isn't supposed to confuse you. It's supposed to ground you. It's learning to say, I want connection, it back, but not at the cost of my peace. When you're honest with yourself about what you need, you make room for the kind of love that can actually meet you there. And when you pretend, you attract partners who do the same. It back, loving yourself also means forgiving yourself for the times you stayed too long, accepted too little, or ignored your own voice. You can't build better love while carrying guilt for the past. Back. Every time you forgive yourself, you reclaim a piece of your power. You stop defining your worth by your mistakes and start defining it by your growth. Because self-love isn't about perfection, it's about progression. It's about saying, I've learned what I won't tolerate, and using that wisdom to create something better. The more compassion you show yourself, the more compassion you'll attract. Back, the more you respect yourself, the more natural it becomes for others to do the same. Every relationship becomes easier when you know your worth. You stop chasing validation and start seeking alignment. Back, you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing consciously. The energy shifts from proving to connecting, from pleasing to partnering. You no longer accept love that feels like survival. You crave love that feels like freedom. Because love rooted in fear always comes with conditions, but love rooted in self-worth comes with peace. It back. When you love yourself enough to walk away from what dims your light, you make space for what honors it. You stop settling for someone to fill your time and start waiting for someone who can meet your soul. Back. You are the blueprint for how others treat you, and every relationship you experience is a reflection of that truth. If you want deeper love, cultivate it within. If you want more honesty, be transparent with yourself. Back. If you want respect, live as someone worthy of it. The moment you start loving yourself with the same devotion you've given to others, everything around you changes. Take it back. You stop chasing people who can't see your worth because you've already seen it. You stop settling for love that costs your peace because you've learned that real love, the kind that lasts, back, begins with you choosing yourself first and never forgetting how to stay that way. Love isn't about finding someone to save or someone to save you. It's about finding someone who will rise beside you. Back. The healthiest relationships are built between two complete people, not two broken halves trying to become whole. When you depend on someone else to fix what you haven't healed, it back. Love turns into a rescue mission instead of a partnership. But real love doesn't ask for rescuers, it asks for equals. It's about two people who both know their worth, their purpose, and their direction. Back. Choosing to walk together without losing themselves in the process. That's what makes love strong. It's not built on need, it's built on choice. When two strong people come together, take it back. Love becomes a multiplier of strength, not a mask for insecurity. You don't lose power in love, you share it. You don't lose identity, you express it more freely. That's what makes real love unshackable. Back. When love is rooted in dependency, one person becomes the hero and the other the project, and that imbalance eventually breeds resentment. You cannot sustain connection by constantly being someone's emotional oxygen. At first, it feels good to be needed. It gives purpose, it feels noble. But over time, it becomes draining. Love that's built on saving can never evolve into growth. Back. Because if one person is always carrying the weight, both stop moving forward. Real love isn't about one partner lifting the other endlessly. It's about both partners growing strong enough to lift together. When you love from wholeness, you encourage independence, not attachment. You give each other space to breathe, space to fall, and space to rise again. That's what creates trust, knowing that even if you both stand alone, you still choose each other. People often believe that love means sacrifice, back, but the kind of sacrifice that destroys identity is not love. It's self-abandonment. There's a difference between supporting your partner and surrendering yourself. Love shouldn't cost you your voice, your dreams, it back, or your individuality. You shouldn't have to shrink so that someone else can feel tall beside you. When you love someone the right way, you want to see them win, not because their success validates you, because it expands what's possible for both of you. Real love is not competition, it's collaboration. It's cheering for each other even when the spotlight isn't on you. It back. It's knowing that both of you can shine without dimming the other. That's what makes love strong. It's not built on sacrifice, but on synergy. A healthy relationship becomes the safest place to be your raw, back, unfiltered self. It's not perfect, but it's honest. It's not always easy, but it's real. In real love, you can disagree without destruction. You can express pain without fear, and you can grow without guilt. Back. There's no punishment for being yourself. You're allowed to evolve, to outgrow old versions of you, and to still be loved through it all. Back. That's the beauty of being with someone who sees your potential as clearly as they see your flaws. They don't need perfection. They need presence. They don't want control. They want connection. Back. And that's what makes love powerful, when two people can stand in their truth and still reach for each other, even when it's hard, even when growth hurts. Real love is about accountability, not blame. It's two people willing to take responsibility for their own healing instead of projecting their pain onto each other. When you both own your part, love becomes a partnership built on emotional maturity. You stop keeping score of who gives more, who wins arguments, or who has the upper hand. You start focusing on how to grow together instead of who's right. That's where peace enters. That's where trust deepens. Back. Because love without accountability eventually turns into chaos. But when both people are committed to being better for themselves and each other, the relationship becomes unbreakable. Back. You start realizing that love isn't something that happens to you. It's something you build daily with intention, honesty, and care. Back. The strongest love stories are not about people who never struggle. They're about people who never stop choosing each other even through struggle. Love isn't a constant high, it's a continuous commitment. It's a promise to face life's storms side by side without losing sight of yourselves. You can love deeply and still hold boundaries. You can stand together without standing still. When love is real, it allows both people to dream individually and build collectively. You don't stop growing because you're in love, you grow more because of it. The right partner will never fear your evolution. They'll encourage it, even if it means they have to evolve too. Because love that refuses to grow eventually fades, but love that grows together becomes unstoppable. When you love from strength, you don't need to control or fix. You inspire. You lift, not by force, but by example. You create an environment where love feels like empowerment, not obligation. That kind of love heals without demanding, gives without expecting, and stays without clinging. It's freedom and connection. It's two souls saying, I choose you, but I still choose me. That's the balance most people miss. The ability to be united without being dependent. When love is rooted in freedom, both people flourish. You both become better, wiser, stronger. Not because you need each other, but because you choose each other over and over again. And that choice is what makes love sacred. The beauty of real love is that it gives you permission to keep becoming. It doesn't freeze you in one version of yourself just to keep someone comfortable. It allows you to grow, to change, to heal, and to dream beyond what you once thought possible. Real love celebrates your evolution because it's built on truth, not illusion. When both people are committed to becoming better versions of themselves, the relationship becomes a space of transformation. You both get to witness each other's becoming and still stay connected through the process. That's what makes real love rare. It doesn't limit, it liberates. It's not about holding on tighter. It's about growing closer while still giving each other space to breathe. Real love doesn't complete you, it complements you. It meets you where you are, supports where you're going, and stands firm when things get uncertain. It doesn't demand perfection, it demands presence. It's not about losing yourself in someone's story. It's about writing a shared one where both voices matter. When you find that kind of love, you'll know, because it won't feel like a fight to be yourself. It will feel like home. The kind of home that doesn't confine you but reminds you who you are. The kind of love that doesn't take away your freedom but amplifies your strength. That's the kind of love that makes life bigger, richer, and more real than you ever imagined. So love, but love wisely. Love boldly, but never blindly. Choose a love that lets you grow, not one that makes you hide. Choose a love that stands beside your purpose, not in front of it. The strongest love isn't about losing yourself. It's about finding someone who reminds you to keep being you. Two strong people, both whole, both aware, building something extraordinary together. That's what real love looks like. It's freedom, it's strength, it's truth. And when you find it, you'll understand that the best kind of love isn't the one that changes who you are but the one that helps you become even more of yourself.